I felt like I wanted to die.
When Michelle Richards was 5 years old, her parents divorced, and her father dropped out of sight.
As a 5-year-old little girl, to me the word divorce meant he didn't love me anymore.
Michelle's mother worked 7 days a week to provide for her children. Michelle stayed with her grandmother, where neighborhood boys began to molest her. Then, at a sleepover at a friend's house, Michelle was molested by an adult.
I remember him telling me to take him off. I said, I can't do that. My mom said only God can see my body. And that's when he said to me, I'm God.
By the time she was 6, Michelle tried to escape those pain-filled memories. She even tried to commit suicide by overdosing on chewable vitamins.
Nobody reached out to me to say, hey, what's going on? You're just a kid. You're only 6. Why do you want to kill yourself when you haven't even lived yet?
The abuse by her neighbors continued over the next 2 years. Michelle took me to the neighborhood where it took place.
What does it mean for you to come back now and to look at the very home where your innocence was stolen?
It just feels like I'm that little girl again, because those feelings come back up where I was so defenseless. And I just remember I can still hear his words.
By the time Michelle was a teen, she became very promiscuous.
It was never about sex at all. So if I could give my body away and it caused that guy to not leave me, that's what I would do.
When Michelle turned 16, she dropped out of high school and was drinking and partying every day.
I only stayed numb as long as the alcohol was in my system, as long as I was drunk or passed out.
By 20, Michelle had had multiple abortions before she gave birth to a baby girl. As a single mother, she struggled to provide for her daughter.
I had dropped out of school. I had no education. I had no way to support either one of us, and I couldn't get a job at all.
When Michelle Richards thought that she didn't have any other employment options, she came to this bar to become a stripper.
This is where I would come in the store right here. This is the dancer's entrance. Although on the outside I would put makeup on and wear all the clothes, and it gave the impression that was very glamorous, on the inside I was so wounded and I was so desperately hurting that in my life, for a man to give me $1 to strip on a pole was actually more than I felt I was really worth.
All during this time, Michelle's grandmother continued to pray for her granddaughter.
I'd be partying and drinking, and I remember even telling her, I don't need your prayers. I don't want you to pray for me. But she still had it in her heart to pray for me, and that God would show me mercy.
Although Michelle made $600 working just 3 nights, she left the strip club after just 1 month. She continued drinking and even got involved in lesbian relationships. Then one night, when she was 23, she was brutally raped by a stranger at a party.
I just remember him getting on top of me and me saying, no, no. I'd never even seen him before. When I woke up the next morning, he was gone. It's like it was nothing.
Michelle had hit bottom and again considered suicide. That's when she got a call that her estranged father had died. She inherited his old Bible, which she began to read. In 2005, Michelle went to church. She was still hungover from drinking the night before. She went forward for prayer.
It felt I was submerged under Niagara Falls. It was his power of his spirit. And when it came pouring down over me, it just whoosh knocked me over right there at the altar.
Michelle asked God to forgive her for all the things she had done.
The alcoholism and the sleeping around and just being promiscuous and the lesbianism and the stripping and just, my abusing my body horrifically. The words, I'm sorry, only sobs were coming out. Just this broken-hearted sob from the depths of my soul. And I was his child. He said, my child. I belonged to him. I never belonged to anyone before, but now I had an identity.
Michelle felt what she described as God's healing touch. Her encounter with God that day lasted 4 hours. The next day, she knew God had set her free from years of abuse.
I didn't want to see alcohol. My eyes were brighter and my face was lighter, and I wasn't being weighed down. And so it was just amazing to me how I was looking at my face and, who is this person? Who's this new person?
Today, Michelle is married to Jim, and together they're raising her daughter. She has written a book about her life and the power of Jesus to take anyone from death to life in Him.
Only Jesus Christ can take something that the world will throw away and say it's worthless and pick it up and make it brand new in Him, because you're worth something to Jesus. Jesus Christ loves the unlovable, and He will do what nothing and no one else can, and that is give you a new life and new hope and a future in Him.